As the DC Universe has been unveiled, there's been a lot of talk about Superman, but we also gotta talk about the new Batman, who for starters won't be Ben Affleck. Sorry for being the bearer of bad news, but it's true. Ben isn't coming back. It was all rumors. See, while the veteran actor had the opportunity to play Gotham's Caped Crusader, however, Affleck's turn at Batman proved to be super controversial. The consensus seems to be that while Ben Affleck made for a pretty good Batman, this version of Batman wasn't great. He was a gruff and grim character who had prisoners killed and personally took tons of lives himself, and he also resolves to kill Superman because of the Battle of Metropolis. While his character was improved in Justice League, it was too little too late. For some time after the release of Justice League, there was supposed to be a Batman movie starring Ben Affleck. It would have been directed by Ben himself, too. He quit the project at some point, though, and that movie evolved into The Batman. The question now is if there's a possibility for Ben Affleck to return. Well, it's a little complicated. See, at the time the initial DCU slate was revealed, James Gunn was asked about Ben Affleck, and he confirmed that Ben was excited to return, but behind the camera. As for acting roles, Affleck doesn't have any yet, but he's definitely not coming back as Batman. But hey, maybe he'll get to helm the brave and the bold. In that case, we'd finally get the Affleck-directed Batman movie we missed out on before. But speaking of missing out, it isn't Robert Pattinson either. Not only is his movie getting a sequel in 2025, but his whole universe is expanding. Sometime later this year or earlier next year, a Penguin series will hit HBO Max, so the Batman is definitely carrying on a new series. There were talks last year about the possibility of merging the Batman universe into the DCU, but Gunn, again, confirmed that the Batman and related content is going to be separate from the DCU. In fact, stuff like the Batman and Todd Phillips' Joker is going to be branded as Elseworlds. Borrowing a term from the comic world, this branding will clearly set them apart from the DCU proper.
That the characters are consistent, played by the same actors, and it works within one story. And if something is outside of that, like Matt Reeves' Batman or Todd Phillips' Joker or Teen Titans Go, that it is clearly labeled as DC Elseworlds, outside of the mainstream DCU continuity.
But let's stop ruling actors out and let's start ruling them in, starting with the one and only Nicholas Hoult. I know, he's not the best actor on this list, and I think that's a crying shame. Your most recent encounter with Nicholas Hoult may have come from The Menu. That movie was kind of the Ralph Fiennes show, but Hoult was also great as the foodie snob. More importantly though, the guy has superhero chops. He played Hank McCoy, better known as Beast, during the Fox's X-Men reboot saga, and following up after Kelsey Grammer was a tall order, but he pulled it off. It's a shame those movies didn't go on for long enough. But even more importantly, Hoult has gotten very close to the Cal himself. He was the Plan B casting choice for Matt Reeves' The Batman movie. If only Robert Pattinson had been busy at the time, Nicholas Hoult could have had his shot. DC Studios now has a perfectly good option in Hoult, and I doubt that an actor looking for a shot at stardom would turn down a superhero cinematic universe.
The finalists, the two finalists for being the guy who was going to replace Ben Affleck as Batman in the Matt Reeves Batman was, of course, Robert Pattinson, and then Nicholas Hoult. Nicholas Hoult was the runner-up for that, and he came close.
But suppose DC Studios wanted to take a different tack with this Batman, and I submit for their consideration, Jon Hamm. If you've looked at the synopsis for The Brave and the Bold, you'll know that it features a Robin, and that Robin is none other than Damian Wayne, Bruce's son with Talia al Ghul. The movie will also feature other members of the Bat family, most of whom were trained on the job by Batman, and Gunn has described the story as having a sort of father-son dynamic. With all that in mind, I think it'd make sense to go for an older, wiser Batman this time around. Ben Affleck would be great for this movie, but I think Jon Hamm would be even better. When it comes to Batman, there are two sides you have to get right. Do you think Hamm would make a good Bruce Wayne? I mean, I've seen Mad Men, and so have you. I think that show answers the question perfectly well. As Batman, I think Hamm is a little untested. He's never been in a superhero production before, and at the age of 51, it won't be long before the studio needs to hire a stunt double for him. But it's worth it because Hamm is such a phenomenal actor and he'd knock it out of the park. Of course, convincing him to lock himself into a franchise at this point in his career might be difficult. Also, we may need to look for some other actors.
There are at least rumors that you're interested in Batman.
I've had rumors about that since season 1 of Mad Men. I've never had a conversation with anybody about it, literally. And I've sat in the rooms with all these guys. Never been offered anything. I think the internet wants what it wants. I can't control the
Would
internet.
you like it?
Depends.
How about Bradley Cooper? All things considered, Cooper might be the most likely person to get the role. The obvious reason for this is that he's been a close collaborator of Gunn's, voicing Rocket Raccoon. He also has a connection to the old DC films, having produced Joker. It definitely helps that he's a fantastic actor, nailing roles across movies like Silver Linings Playbook, A Star is Born, and Nightmare Alley. Even as Rocket Raccoon, he succeeded in making the gruffest member of the Guardians lovable and sympathetic. I really think that you need to prepare yourselves to see Bradley Cooper or Nicholas Hoult don the cowl. The only thing stopping them is seeking a different path in their careers. Cooper, in particular, has come really close to scoring Oscars in the past couple of years. He might want to actually put one of those blasted trophies in his case at home. And we all know that the Academy doesn't like superhero movies, so he's unlikely to get there with Batman. So all that brings me to the hottest take of this video. Can we at least talk about Jensen Ackles? Yes, I am proposing Dean Winchester becomes Batman. It may sound like an odd choice, but it makes sense in a lot of ways. First off, that gravelly Dean Winchester voice is perfect for Batman. And secondly, I think that Ackles is at a perfect point in his career for a superhero franchise role. He's still got a ways to go in his career, and yet 15 years of Supernatural have left him in a tough spot. It's hard for actors to move on from TV roles when they've been playing them for so long. Batman is the perfect next step for Ackles, partly because he has played Batman before, specifically in the animated adaptations of The Long Halloween and Legion of Superheroes. He also has Robin experience, sort of. He was the voice behind Jason Todd in Under the Red Hood. Besides that experience though, remember how I talked about the father-son dynamic of the brave and the bold? Well, Jensen may not be that old, but he did spend 15 years being Sam Winchester's surrogate dad. He should be more than capable of playing a real dad to Damian Wayne, but like a dad who only school kids can punch in the face. I think the likelihood of Jensen getting the part is only slightly more likely than John Hamm. All the same, I think DC Studios would be missing out if they pass on him.
You're Batman and you haven't been able to talk about it for a while.
That was definitely the most difficult part of this entire experience, was just not being able to talk about it. You know, it's obviously most people I know, it's every little boy's dream to be able to get paid to say I'm Batman. So that was one I had to bury deep and try to forget about for a while.
Anyways, these have been just some of the actors who could be replacing Ben Affleck as Batman in James Gunn's new DCU. See you next time with more amazing content like this.
You are?
Yeah. I'm Batman.